हरि ओम। ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। कायेन वाचा शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पातञ्जलि प्राञ्जलिना नतोऽस्मि। हरि ओम। We all know the word karma. We have apparently studied karma yoga. Every now and then we have heard the word karma, karma phala. We have heard the word sanchita and prarabdha. But a deeper study of karma is usually not done by the sadhaka. It is quite an extraordinary fact that although Yoga Shastra is a darshan for yoga, it also dwells on karma and gives us the correct perspective of the karma. One of the first misunderstanding we have about the karma is karma gives rise to klesha. This is what we normally think. I am suffering from sorrow. I get anger. I get greed. So we feel that karma, doing the karma, produces the anger. So karma causes klesha. Even in the common vyavahar, we say that in life I have a lot of klesha because of whatever I'm doing. But this is wrong. It is the klesha which causes karma, not karma which causes klesha. And this is because of the wrong usage of the word klesha. So we need to first of all clarify ourselves. This is a very important area in Yoga Shastra for early sadhaka. We have seen in detail Samadhipada, but Samadhipada is meant for a Uccha Adhikari, Uttama Adhikari. We are all common people. We are confused. We want to study Yoga Shastra. We want to take something out of it for ourselves. This is not an academic exercise. We don't want to become a Pandit out of Yoga Shastra study. Our whole purpose of studying Adhyatma, Sadhana, Yoga Shastra is how can I make better myself so that I can start moving towards self-realization. Atma Anubhuti. So the whole study that we are doing, we are getting up early in the morning, trying to understand, trying to put our brain, our thinking power to its test, not for any academic exercise, not to win accolades amongst the masses or the people around me. It is meant for me. If this study is not going to help me in becoming a better person, moving towards self-realization, the whole study is useless. It is just a lip service. And that is why, while studying Yoga Shastra, as with other Shastra or sadhana, it is imperative on our part, it is important on our part to see how this study can be useful to me. And that is where we need to understand first fundamental difference in our thinking, that it is the klesha which causes the karma, not the other way around. Now let us see why and how this happens. I am born as a jiva or the upadhi in this world. So definitely I don't know why I am born or where from I came, etc. But at least I know one thing, that I am here now. I am here and now. I am born. I am born in a body. It has been given a name. I've got some function I'm doing. And because of all this, I'm interacting with all the other things in the world. There are objects in the world. There are subjects in the world. Chara and achara. The trees, the animals, the human beings, the boss, the wife, the child. I'm interacting with them. Just forget about what the Vyavahara says. From the Adhyatmic standpoint, from the spiritual standpoint, I am a jiva interacting with other chara and achara in this world. This is what we are doing throughout our life. Now comes the question, suppose I am not interacting with anyone outside. I am not interacting with anyone. What will happen because of that? There will be no new klesha generated by the interaction. For example, I went out on the street and somebody brushed past me, hitting my shoulder. So what happened? There is an interaction between me as a jiva and that jiva, and that hitting on the shoulder, he brushed my shoulder, it resulted into what? I became angry. The stupid fellow can't understand, he's hitting me and just walking like that. So what happened there? Suppose he hits and he goes and I also go, and nothing happens to me, not even in the mind. Then what will happen? Nothing will happen, because an action happened. It is not resulting into anything. Now suppose moment I become angry, raga, the raga is a reaction to what has happened. So there is a klesha that got born. Now that klesha which is born, is the klesha responsible for my future downfall, not the person hitting me. Suppose we are walking on the street and suddenly it starts raining. What happens? We try to run away to the shelter. And when we go to the shelter, we wait for the rain to pass away and then we start walking. Now, rain came and hit me. Rain is not a person. The rain is not a person. So I'm not angry with it. And there are people who get angry with the rain also, but suppose we don't get angry with the rain. So what will happen? The rain came, I became wet, I went to the shelter, the rain passed away and I walked. So what happened? An event happened. This is not karma. An event happened. It has not resulted into anything. So I do not have a klesha coming out of it. Now, when the klesha comes, that means either I like it or I don't like it. That means when I react and not respond. A small child is laughing and smiling at me. I also smile at him. What happened in this interaction? Neither the child wanted anything from me, nor I wanted anything from me. So there is a karma that happened, some kriya happened, but the kriya is not resulting into anything. Now, if I feel that, oh, I should have a child like that in my home, what happened? Sukhanushahi. Now I wanted Sukham to come out of this interaction. So Klesha came out. So it is this Klesha, the reaction, that leads to the karma formation. Otherwise, it is a Nishkriya Kriya. Suppose you are sneezing. When you sneeze, is it not a Kriya? It is a Kriya. I just coughed. It is a Kriya. But do I have any interaction about it? So far, no. But if I say, look, I'm trying to talk and this cough is really irritating me. I wish this cough would have been there. What happened? The klesha came out of it. And it is this klesha, the reaction to the interactions or happenings either in the world or in the mind. Mind well, the world is outside, which is perceived by the indriyas, but there is a world which is perceived by the sixth indriya called mind. So the world is there in the mind, in the sthula form through the indriyas it is perceived. In the smruti form, it is perceived in the mind as a memory. So because of that, the kleshas happen. For example, I'm sitting very quietly. It's a beautiful morning. Nobody's bothering me. No jiva is around to bother me, not even the mosquito or anything. And suddenly I remember how I was insulted when I went for the job interview. Now what happened? The smruti created that incidence again, and you felt angry or sad about it. Dukkha or sukha. And that too because you said I got insulted at that. I Asmita also became arose there. Because of all this, the karmas are created. So klesha causes the karma. This is something which we essentially need to understand. What is the reason why we should understand this? Is we are not here to avoid the karma. Bhagavad Gita says it is impossible to avoid the karma. Agreed. But the Bhagavad Gita, does it say that it is impossible to avoid klesha? It doesn't. So while performing the karma, the key of performing the karma lies in the klesha part. So the yogi is focusing his or her entire effort on the klesha, not on the karma. While we are always trying to avoid the karma so that the klesha should not come. That is the reason we are never successful. And we shall never be successful. You can't avoid karma. You have given a birth to the child, or you are married. Now you can't say that the wife or the husband is giving too much of trouble. How can I avoid him? You cannot. You perhaps may not over-involve yourself, fine. You may physically try to go away, fine. But the interaction is something either through memory or through direct interaction through indriyas. You cannot avoid it. None of the realized souls, including Guru Deva, avoided interaction. In fact, they increased the interaction for the welfare. He was amongst the masses. Yet, the interaction did not bother him. How did that happen? Because the interaction, the klesha was separated, and the klesha part was never allowed to appear. So one thing is very clear for the yogi, that what he is going to do is, first of all, he is going to separate and visualize the kleshas that are happening in each interaction and focus only on the kleshas, not on what is happening. We are always focusing on what is happening. I was sitting quietly, he came there and then he shouted at me. Then how can I keep quiet? So I shouted back at him. We focus on this. A yogi stands quiet and focuses on what? This man has come to me and is trying to trouble me. So my klesha is going to be aroused now in the form of anger I shall focus on the anger, and I will ensure that the anger is not let come out and burst. So what it means is, the klesha is one on which the yogi, or for that matter, every sadhaka should work upon. Now this klesha, in which form it is, you can observe yourself. If you are too angry a person, little bit something happens and you are angry. Let us take my own example. In spite of best of the efforts, whatever I do, the anger is still sipping inside. And more so when I interact with my wife. So even if suppose she's even given a wrong advice, suddenly I say that, why did you say that? Why? Immediately the anger has come out. Now fine, you may feel little bad about it, you may not feel bad about it, you may multiply the anger and justify how you are correct in having anger. That's all stupidities. The very fact that anger as one of the klesha came in the mind and expressed in full-fledged form, that itself is something which you cannot be having. Now, the whole exercise that we do is basically because we don't want this udarata of any klesha. Udarata means full expression. We don't want any full expression of any klesha to happen. So the first sadhana we do, remember a very important step we are learning here in Yoga Shastra about our own behavior. The key to the exercise and sadhana, this can also be called as a tapa. What is this tapa we are doing here? We are trying to see that the kleshas are minimized. Now, how do we minimize it? First of all, even if you have anger, let it not come through the mouth. What happens because of that? The udarata, that means expression, is avoided. You have won the first round, first battle. The first battle is to avoid the kleshas. Now, is it only for the anger? Even for the sukham. If something good happens, don't fall prey. We get so much involved into something, the good that has happened. Is I'm so happy. God, what if I love something? All that, stop that blah blah. Okay, does that mean the happiness should make you marused? No. Smile, but don't roar into laughter. So, sukham, dukkham, ahankar is another klesha. You went at some place and somebody ignored you. Immediately you feel sad, and then what do? You start telling your friend, "Yaar, ye koi baat hui? Is this the way that they treated me so badly? I'm so and so." Asmita is coming out. What do? Even if you are so-called insulted, keep quiet or leave the place. But don't speak about it to others. What happens because of that? The full expression of asmita or ego or ahankara is not coming out. So the first step what we do is, we try our level best in sadhana not to express anguish, not to express sukham, dukkham, asmita, abhinivesha through our actions. What does this mean? Cool down. Think before acting. Now, how do you act? You act through body, kaya, vacha, and manam. So first, control your kaya. So if somebody has brushed you while walking, don't immediately close your fist and start walking towards, because that is kaik tapa. What do, kaik tapa? Hold on yourself. You feel like raising your hand to the child. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's a full expression, udar, full expression of your anger. Don't do that. Then do what? Then vacha. You start, what a bloody fellow, stupid, you don't understand, rascal. Don't do that. Don't do that. That is udarata, expression through speech. So you control the body, control the speech. And of course, the most difficult, even if you don't say, even if you don't act, the mind is seething under anger. Work on that also. So what is happening? You are trying to manage the kleshas. Manage, how manage? You're trying to reduce, belittle the kleshas. You're trying to reduce the kleshas. Kleshas are nothing but the reactions that we give to the things that are happening. Things happening have nothing wrong in them. You're just walking besides the road and some small child playing suddenly throws a stone and it hits your head. What is the immediate reaction? How the bloody hell that small child, I don't know who is the parents, they have not really taught them then once that this when this starts in succession, you can't stop it. I will give you example of how this so-called kleshas are managed. Bapu Mahatma Gandhi in South Africa used to go for early morning walk. He was, of course, an early riser. So when early morning he was going for the walk, those days in South Africa, certain lanes were reserved for white people. Apartheid was at its height. So because of the Varna Bhed or apartheidism, Gandhiji was walking, and in that early morning walk, he did not realize that he is entering into that lane which is meant for the white people. As a result, as he started walking, all of a sudden, the horse mounted 3-4 soldiers came, and the police people came and started hitting Bapu. And they badly hit Bapu. It was around the same time a car came from the bungalow in front of which this beating was happening. The car was driven by a judge. He was the judge in the same court where Gandhiji was representing as a barrister one case. So moment the judge looked outside, he realized that the gentleman who is being bitten is nothing else but Mr. Gandhi, who was representing in the court yesterday. So he got down and stopped everything, stopped everybody. He said, "What the hell are you doing? Do you know he's a barrister?" And then he went to Bapu and he said that, "Look, you're a lawyer, I am a judge. Let us file a complaint." And with smile, Bapu said, "There is nothing wrong they did. They thought it must be mistake on their side. So they beat me and I'm all right, fine. That's not a problem. Very nice for your kindness. And thank you so much." He folded with folded hands. He apologized to the people who beat him and started walking further. Now, what happened in this incident? An interaction happened where the beating took place. That is out of prarabdha. So the action took place, the kriya took place. What about the klesha? No klesha. So managing the klesha, responding instead of reacting, is this crux of the whole thing. Now, once this udarata is managed, the frank expression of klesha is managed, that doesn't mean that the kleshas have left you. They are there in the hidden form. How hidden form? Let us take example. All of us have never been charged with a case from police where you have been caught teasing a woman or molesting a woman. Nobody, none of us have been caught in that crime. All right. That is because we have never gone and molested anybody. But the fact is, can we be sure that in our mind, in our so far life that we have spent, it never came to our mind that, look, that woman is beautiful, I could have had her in my bedroom or something. Some dirty thought must have and should have, might have come in our mind. At that point of time, there is no punishment because it is in your mind. So what happened now? Sukhanushai, because you felt that that would give me happiness, you thought of something. So in this case, the vasana, the ichha, the desire, or that particular klesha was there, which was not expressed, but it was lying dormant in the mind. When we are struggling for too much money. Let's say when I'm deep into some contract negotiation, we are into the negotiations and we're finalizing some contract. Where is the mind now focused? In making maximum money while negotiating the contract. At that point of time, you don't think of any woman. So does that mean your thoughts about women are very pure? No, they are just brushed aside. Because you're talking about money, woman is kept aside. If you're thinking of woman, money is kept aside. If you're thinking of revenge, something else is kept aside. That means it is temporary brushing away because you're focusing on something. This is called vichinnata. This is vichinnata of klesha. So the klesha hasn't gone. It has been just kept aside for some time because another klesha is operating. Then comes the question, there are people who do the sadhana and then try to fight with these kleshas with swaprayatna. Swaprayatna means there are some people who become or angry, they say something and they feel bad about it. Then they say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it. So he is doing a prayatnam to reduce the kleshas. Then slowly they succeed. They become shanta. As you become shanta, then the anger, then you are not too much running behind sukha. Then you, even if you are not neglected, or you do, if you go to any ceremony, you are okay with the last lane. If you are in the satsanga, even if somebody says, oh, it doesn't give any opportunity for you to talk, you're okay with it. Somebody says that, he talks but he's not as good as that particular speaker, you say, okay, fine. What is happening? You are doing exercise to reduce the kleshas. So what is happening is, one is frank expression, you first work on it. Then vichinnata, you work on it. Then you work on it tanuta. Tanuta means loosening, making small. So I have anger. I cannot say I don't have anger, but it is not as bad as it is to be. Tanuta. Shithilikaran. You loosen the anger. So once this is done, then the most difficult part of these kleshas is they are no more frank expression. They have become smaller, they have become thinner, and after thinner, they are to be completely wiped out. This complete wiping out of the kleshas is called dagda bija karana, burning the seed of these kleshas. And what is the seed of the kleshas? Avidya. The seed of the kleshas is avidya. So to burn the kleshas, you require samadhi. Samadhi is the only alternate for removing the kleshas permanently. That is because once you attain the dharma mega or nirvikalpa samadhi or asampratnyat samadhi, in that samadhi, because the chitta becomes merged with the prakriti, so there is a laya in avyakta, even the kleshas also get merged. And when such a person comes back as a jivan mukta after samadhi, then Swami Vivekananda used to get angry. But it was not a klesha. Gurudeva must have given different types of expression, but none of them ever caused clash in them. That is the reason why they do not hanker for publicity, for sukha, for ahankara, for position. All this is not because they are aware and they do it. They simply are aware, not even aware of what is happening, because the kleshas are wiped out. The seed of the kleshas is burnt. Dagda bija klesha. So the whole exercise of a yogi, through this yama, niyama, pranayama, asana, pratyahara, everything, dhyana, dharana, samadhi, all ashtanga padas, everyone is trying to work on kleshas. As a novice, as a nikrushta adhikari, nicha adhikari, adhama adhikari, we work on frank expression of kleshas. A madhyama adhikari works on loosening of kleshas. And Uttamadhikari works on burning of seed of kleshas. So Kriya Yoga, which is meant for Madhyamadhikari, the one who has controlled the kleshas in frank form, but they are still there. He tries to loosen the kleshas by Kriya Yoga. And how do you do this? You do this by Mananam, Chintanam. How do you do that? Constantly be aware of what you are doing. A vigil or a vigilante, one who is having vigilance over what he is doing. See, we do the act and then think. We need to think and then act. So what do we think? Always think about yourself. Am I at peace? Shanti? What is disturbing my Shanti? Oh, somebody's calling me. The boss is calling me. Okay. Be Shanta, walk towards boss's office. Normally, what happens to us? When somebody says boss is calling you, immediately the mind grapples with the unforeseen possibilities. I don't know why he has called. This fellow always keeps calling me. I know he's going to blast me now. I keep doing very much hard work. See what happened. You are yet to meet. But the reaction pattern has become such that the kleshas are produced even before the interaction. Then we go inside and then he says that, look, you don't work properly. I've given you the target. You did not complete the target. You feel very bad. Then you feel angry about the boss. The anger has taken place. Kleshas. Klesha. And klesh means karma has happened. Klesh leads to karma. Now, what is the karma? Because you have had anger about the boss, what is the desire you have? This should not happen. This boss should not be there. That means there is a desire. So klesha leads to desire. That desire leads to the karma or the birth again. So the interaction of the jiva with either the thought or the action or the desire. There are three things that can create the interaction: action, desire, or thought. Kriya, Ichha, Vichar. These three things are the one which can create karma. If these three are not there, karma is not there. Action, acting upon some volition. For example, while walking, I just kicked a man. What happened? Action. Result, there is a klesha. While walking, I saw a Ferrari passing by. What happened? I should have one. Desire, Ichha. And I'm sitting quiet. And I realized that my husband has been troubling me so much. Poor fellow, what to do? I'm married to him. I wish God punishes him. Thought, action, desire, thought. Kriya, Ichha, Vichar. These three lead to klesha. Kleshas we saw are in four types: frank expression, udar; displaced expression, vichinna; loosened, tanuta; and dagdha bijata or prasuptata. It is so surprising that even a Rishi of the level of Vishwamitra, who had done so much of tapas also, had the desire for women in the seed form still alive in his mind even after tapascharya. And that is why the very story of Menaka is not only a Pauranika story, it is a story to tell us that a desire for women was so deep-seated in the samskara that even a Rishi of Vishwamitra's caliber had to succumb to that. Why? Because the seed of the klesha was not burned perfectly. When this question was asked to to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, that Vivekananda is so handsome, young, very well built, Tejashvi Purush. What will happen to him if he comes in contact with a woman? And the answer given by Ramakrishna was, go, nothing will happen to Narendra. From where the confidence came? Because in Vivekananda Maharaj, the seed of this vasana or desire was burnt, dagda bija. That's why, in spite of best of the accolades in America, a free society where many women tried to approach Narendra. It is not that Swami Vivekananda was not approached. To the extent one girl had a audacity to even ask him, what if Swamiji somebody seduces you? And the answer given by the great Yatiraj was, I will turn her into a frog. So the girl smiled, saying that, oh, that's a good joke. He said, no, I am serious. From where the strength comes? The strength comes from brahmacharya. And what is brahmacharya? Not only women, everything that is a charati, chara achara, no interest whatsoever for oneself. Purna vairagya. That is why in this kleshas, avidya is the base of everything. It is ingrained in us. It is also called karana deha. Karana deha. It is the cause of our presence. The very reason why we are born, we are in the world, we are why wherever we are, it's all the cause lies in avidya. Avidya, what it does? It makes us feel that this world is a permanent thing. Even now, if I ask a question to you that one day sun is going to die, yes, now the modern science also tells us that one day will come, maybe after billions of years, the sun is going to go out, run out of fuel. We can't even imagine what will happen after that. But even if we study the science, and even if we are reading the astrophysics where it is mentioned that the nuclear fission, one day the fuel will be over in sun and the sun will be dying. But even then, our mind doesn't agree to it. We feel, it's still continuing. We all know that another 20 years, many of us may not be existing. But the very thought when I say this, we get a fear inside, but we immediately drop it saying that, why? No, I'm going to live forever. Anitya, we feel nitya. We feel our child and me as a father, the relation is going to continue for maybe another millions of years. It will not. It is hardly a time before our photo will be hanged and some garland might be put. I'm not sure whether it will be put or not. But it doesn't strike us. Mrityu doesn't strike us. Why? Continuity. Everything is constant. This is what we feel. And what is the situation actually? Everything in this world, every second is changing. You, me are not the same as what we were at the beginning of the lecture because already half an hour has passed. So with this, what is happening is there's a constant change, yet I feel it is nitya. Ephemeral world, constantly changing world being perceived as nitya, Surya, Taraka, me, my relation, my world, my car, everything is, this is called anitya. Ashuchi, this body, if we read the Samas in Samartha Ramadasa called Naradeha, Samartha Ramdas has described how bad the body is. It has saliva, it has urine, it has fecal matter, it has bile, it has foul smelling things inside. If you sweat, it is going to be foul smelled. We have to clean it every day. In spite of all this ashuchi, we love the body. Not only we love the body, we even describe in our literature a lady like Nave Shashanka Lekha. You know, her face is like a moon. She is Kamani, her beauty and her body is very, very beautifully structured. The whole thing is nothing else but ye tan masa vasadi vikaram manasi vichintaya varam varam bhaja govindam. Acharya Shankaracharya says it is a flesh. Nari sthanabara nabhi desham drushta maga moha vesham. Looking at the nabhi area of the woman, you feel so good about it, but it is nothing else but the flesh. Now Shankaracharya saw it as a flesh. Why? Because he knew this is ashuchi. But for us, it doesn't happen. This is avidya. Anitya calling itself Nitya, Ashuchi calling itself Ashocha, and Anatma calling Atma. I love my car. Sir, the car is Anatma. No, it is my car. We feel as if the car is a lively thing in my possession, like a slave. This is called Anatma Gosht, Anatma cheese being called Atma. Achetan Padartha, my bed, my mattress, my food, my cloth, my home, Achetan Padartha. Calling even Chetan Padartha as Atma. Chetan Padartha, my son, my wife. So Chetan and Achetan Padartha who are Anatma being called Atma is also Avidya. So Avidya is the bed of all the kleshas. Because we call everything as mine, the other kleshas come. And the other kleshas which come is basically coming mainly from where? First of all, they are coming from asmita. That is the first klesha. Asmita is ahankar. Druk darshana shaktoho. Who am I? Again and again through rote we have learned through all the scriptures that you are Atman, you are not what you call yourself, but this is only at the intellectual level. We don't feel any time that I am Atman. Every time you ask me, I am so and so, I am CEO, we remember the roles ascribed to this body. We don't remember the Druk Shakti. Druk Shakti is Chaitanya Shakti. So Asmita means identifying ourselves with everything else other than the Atman is Asmita. Because of which what happens? The ego develops. And the ego leads to, ego itself is a klesha. And then ego gives rise to other kleshas. Which are the two other kleshas? Sukha, Sukhanushayi Ragaha. Anything that is dependent on Sukha is a klesha. That is the reason in this life we are constantly hankering for Sukha, but Sukha itself is a klesha. Why? Because there is hankering for it. Always because Sukham is not Anandam. Sukham is dependent on Vishaya. Vishaya Janita Sukha. Nirvishaya Janita Ananda. When you look at an innocent structure like a plant, a flower, a small baby smiling at you, now the Vishaya is of least importance. So it gives more pleasure. My car, the day you go to the showroom to get the delivery of that Ferrari, it gives enormous amount of pleasure. It is a Vishaya Janita Sukha. Then what happens? After a month, you don't feel the same happiness that you felt when you were about to buy Ferrari. Where did the happiness go? The object is still there. Because Vishaya Janita Sukha is a contemplation by the mind. So it is bound to dwindle down and become zero. After about a year, you even forget that you're driving a Mercedes. It has stopped giving you the pleasure. That is because Gardha Trushnaha Lobhaha, hankering, that is what is called Sukha. That is actually a klesha, isn't it? Because you want to have a very big villa, you will have to take a mortgage. So you're actually getting a sukham of entering into the villa. But what have we actually created? Dukkham around it. Its maintenance, it's so and so. So sukha appears like happiness, but it is not true happiness. So sukhanishaya ragaha, dukkhanushaya dveshaha. There are so many things in this world which you don't like. And when you don't like something, you try to either curse it, avoid it, do something. That is why it is also a klesha. Aversion. Aversion. Suppose you have been asked, forget about a mother cleaning the bottom of a baby after she or he has passed motion. She does it with happiness. Why? Baby, she doesn't understand anything. Just imagine, same lady has been given a task of cleaning the bottom of a grown-up man because he's sick. How will she feel? Why this repulsive feeling will come? Aversion. It so happened in Sevagram ashram, one mentally unstable person came. And he was mad, he was mentally unstable. He came and he went into the kitchen of Sevagram. And in the kitchen, he took knife by which they were cutting the vegetable and started shouting. Bapu, Kasturba, and everybody went to the kitchen to see what happened, why there is so much of shouting. And they realized there is a mad person having a knife in the hand and he's shouting. So naturally, Bapu being a Nirbhaya, he was Atmajnani. So he was Nirbhaya. So he went forward, controlled him. While he was controlled, the poor fellow, because he was mad, but he was not doing it deliberately, after he was caught, the knife was taken out of his hand, he passed motion in his dhoti. So everybody saw that he has passed the motion. Now what happened? Bapu went to clean his motion. Kasturba also went to clean his motion. They had a fight between each other. Who will wipe the bottom of this man and who will clean him? Ultimately, Bapu won, and Bapu cleaned his bottom, cleaned his dhoti with his hand. Was there any aversion? Dukkhanushai dveshaha. This is called Atmajnani, how he deals with the klesha. And the last of the kleshas is abhinivesha, fear of death. This fear of death everyone has, except Atmajnani. If you look at the preface of commentary of Bhagavad Gita by Gurudeva, he has mentioned about his heart attack. And he has mentioned it beautifully. He while writing, by the way, he has written that some of the writings have been delayed because of this bloody heart attack that I had. It's like I just had some bad cold. I just had some water on my face, something like that. He referred to the heart attack. Why? There is no fear of death. That is why these are the 5 kleshas who operate and create the karma, because this karma then goes and gets accumulated in the storage called karma shaya. Now this karma shaya is what we had come up to the point last time. These kleshas, from the obvious and frank expression of kleshas, we first reduce them, then we loosen them. Reducing the frank kleshas is Ashtanga Yoga. After reduction, loosening them and making them very feeble and less strong, Kriya Yoga. And after they are loosened, vanishing them, Dagda Bijata in them is Samadhi. This is the process. So everyone has to find out where they are. I am at which level? First level. So you do Ashtanga Yoga. Now Yama, Niyama, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyaha. This Pancha 5 you will practice for what? Reducing the kleshas. I have reduced the frank kleshas to a good extent. Now loosen the kleshas. Make them weak. attenuate them, weakening is done by Kriya Yoga for Tapa, Ishwar Pranidhana. These are the methods of Kriya Yoga, because once you reduce the kleshas, you become Madhyamadhikari. And when you loosen the kleshas, you are about to become Uttamadhikari, because now they are loosened, they are weak, you are supposed to now burn them. This burning, the final frontier, is in Samadhi, Uttamadhikari. This is the procedure as told by Patanjali Maharaj in Yoga Shastra. There is no other procedure. So we have to work on our kleshas. Now comes the question, why we work on kleshas? Because the 12th adhyaya, 12th mantra, klesha mulaha karmashayo drushta drushta janma vedaniya. The key lies here. Klesha mulak. Klesh is the seed, origin for the karma or karmashaya. Karmashaya means lots of karmas together is called ashaya, karmashaya. Accumulated karmas is called karmashaya. So klesha mulaka karmashaya, collection of karma caused by the kleshas, is of two types: drushta janma vedaniya, adrushta janma vedaniya. Although the words are pretty complicated, meaning is very simple. Drushta janma means present life. Vedaniya means experienced. That which is experienced in present life, current life, is called drushta janma vedaniya. That which is yet to be experienced, adrushta janma vedaniya, which is sanchit. Drushta janma vedaniya, prarabdha. Certain things should be very clear in the mind when we are studying Yoga Shastra, because Yoga Shastra forces us to be precise. What is karma ashaya, collection of karma? Karma janya sanskara samudaya is called karma ashaya. Collection of karmas, karma janya sanskar. Karmas means every karma creates a sanskar, creates an impression. Collection of those impressions is called karmashaya. This karmashaya or collection of karma, look, now we have already started discussing the karma. Lots of clarity will come on the karma and karma yoga here. This collection of karma janya sanskar, which is called karmashaya, is of two types: dharma, adharma, or papa punya. Dharma means punya, adharma means papa. So whatever kriya we have done and responded or reacted to the klesha will result in sanskara janya karma. So that will remain as that karma will go in as a sanskar into a pool, into a collection called karmashaya, and it will be mixed of papa and punya or dharma and adharma. However, the one who has achieved viveka khyati, one who has achieved vivek khyati means the yogi who has accomplished a sampradnyat samadhi, there is no karmashaya whatsoever. Jnanam sarva karmanam bhasmasat kurute. This is what it is. Now, what is this papa and punya or dharma and adharma which leads to this karmashaya? Kam, lobha, moha, krodha, prasavaha, papa punya karmashayaha. The kleshas that we operated through, which are in the form of kama, desire, lobha, moha, krodha, prasavaha. These are our reactions. Kama, krodha, lobha, moha. These are our reactions. These reactions, which are in the form of klesha, lead to either a good deed or a punyam leads to dharma samskar. A bad deed leads to adharma samskar. So there are two types of samskaras. One is dharma samskar, another is adharma sanskar. Now the question comes, and which is very important for us to know, and that is, when is it that the karma fructifies? When does karma gives phalam? We will dwell upon this little bit in detail because this is directly connected with our day-to-day activities. Now, there are certain things which we may feel contradictory when we see study Yoga Shastra because our concepts of karma are not very clear. Out of the karmas that are done in the present life, first thing is karmashaya is the reason why we are born. When we are born, we create kleshas. These kleshas lead to karma or karmajanya sanskar, which again goes back and gets collected. Now, out of this, in case we do some karma with tivra samvega, what is tivra samvega? Intensely done karma. Intensely done karma. For example, let us talk of a good karma. If somebody does intense karma called tivra samvega dharmika force, as well as he does mantra, tapa, samadhi, aradhana of Ishwara, Devata, Maharshi, Mahanubhava, then such a tivra samvega karma, it fructifies very quickly. In the same birth, now we are talking about karma and phala and the duration gap between them. A karma janya samskar will create a phalam. When? For that, the Yoga Shastra is telling us that it depends upon the samvega. Suppose I have a vague desire that, I would like to be a king. It is not a tivra samvega because simultaneously my mind is telling that it is difficult. I don't think I can become. So that is, the desire is there, but it's a very feeble desire. A very strong desire. We call such a person as highly ambitious. Such a strong desire, if it is there and he acts upon it by doing tapa, mantra, or doing aradhana of Ishwar with tivra samvega, then the result of that karma does not wait for another birth to come. It can fructify in the same birth. Similarly, that are the karmas that are done with tivra klesha. That means out of immense anger, out of immense ego. Let's talk about Adolf Hitler. Tivra klesha. And what is the, with tivra klesha, what are the functions that you do? Bhit, vyadhit, krupaneshu. If you trouble very strongly three type of people, bhita, one who is scared, vyadhita, one who is diseased, one who is suffering from a disease, krupana, one who is pitiable, he doesn't have resource, like a beggar. And if you trouble them, then similarly, if you trouble a Tejasvi Rishi or a Mahanubhava repeatedly, then the bad karma will fructify quickly and you will get the result. Ultimately, the man who created gas chambers for the Jews got killed in a bunker by eating cyanide. How did this happen? The Ravana, with the atrocious deeds that he did with the Tivra Klesha, got punished by Rama in the same birth. So the work that we do, the kleshas that we do, if they're intense, that is the reason why Tukaram Maharaj says, Konahi jivacha na ghado matsar, varna sarveshwara puja, varma sarveshwara pujanache. The secret of sarveshwara pujan is not to hate anybody. Naninda. Don't try to hate anybody. Why? Intense hatred, intense klesha creating activity, tivra klesha the activity, more so for the poor people, the destitutes, the beggars, If you cannot do good to them, at least don't torture them. Those who are working in the offices, because they are bosses, they try to put the people who are dependent on their job constantly in the threat. नौकरी से निकाल दूंगा, फिर तेरा क्या होगा? What if I kick you from this place? You don't deserve to be. All these are basically beat, scared. If you exceed your limits, there was a Rishi called Nahush. Nahush Rishi, out of anger, he kicked Agastya Rishi. What happened? Because of the Charana Prahara, because of the kick that he gave to Agastya Rishi, he was born from Deva Yoni directly into Tiriyak Yoni. And there was another prince called Nandeshwara Kumar. He, from man, he became Deva Rupa in the same birth because of Tivra Samvega Dharmika Karya. It has a lot of importance. If we are able to focus ourselves on good deeds and do it with Tivra Samvega, if you do study of scriptures, do Dhyanam, do Ishwara Aradhana, do Guru Puja, do regular puja with lot of devotion into it, the result comes into the same birth. The Lord will smile upon us. We will start moving towards, because of our punyam, we will start moving towards betterment. And mind well, the whole secret of doing the sadhana is inculcating sattva guna. So the punyam, if you do, it leads to rise of sattva guna, because the phalam of punyam is rise of sattva guna. And sattva guna is the only wealth that is required for sadhana. If at all we can't do that, we have to constantly remember that no one, paropakaraha punyaya papaya parapidanam, not one soul should be unhappy because of me. If I can't bring the smiles to anybody's face, I should not at least be causing pain to anybody. Nobody should be pained by us. That is why compassion is the key to the karma. Be compassionate. You suffer. Let others be happy. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Kaschit. Lord, let nobody have pain, and not through me. Do not make me an instrument of pain for anybody. That is sadhana. Focus is on me. Our focus is on others, how he is behaving, how he is behaving. Let them. Pardon them, they do not know what they are doing, Jesus Christ said. He focused on himself, took the cross on his shoulder, got nailed on the cross, bleeding from the body, yet the smile on the face, compassion for those even who crucified. Mahatma Gandhi, the walking Christ as described by Romarola, the same person who boxed his teeth and made the teeth fall. Moment he became conscious, he asked a question, is the Pathan fine? I hope he has not been troubled. Compassion par excellence. We have to inculcate that. And that is the reason why we must understand the karma. We are again going to study in detail about the karma. It almost sounds we are studying karma yoga, although we are studying Yoga Shastra. That is because of the beauty of Patanjali Maharaj. He has given only 2 or 3 sutras for karma, but he has covered the entire gamut of karma into it. And this is more relevant for us because we are starting at the bottom level. At the bottom level, it is the karma that is important. We have done some good karma. That is why we are studying Patanjali Yoga Shastra. Mind well. We have definitely helped somebody. We have been compassionate somewhere. So we are here. But it is not good saying that I have passed 4th standard and be in the 4th standard forever. We have to move upwards. We have to rise. Sadhana is a constant movement towards self-realization, Atma Jnanam. So we will pray to Gurudeva and Patanjali Maharaj to give us the strength, courage, and wisdom to understand the Shastra, and more important, not the intellectual understanding, implementing it in day-to-day life. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om, Sanjay ji. Sanjay ji, two clarifications. As we are going through this and we are talking about klesha, one, I would like a little more understanding of the genesis of the word klesha, what that means. And I'm kind of seeing a strong correlation between klesha and vritti. So basically, klesha is you, as you were explaining, if I don't let vritti come, then klesha does not come, right? So it's almost feeling like when you're saying klesha, it's about vritti. And I don't, the path you said, or the three steps that you said we need to do, first is about things that we need to do to weaken them, then Kriya Yoga, and then Samadhi. In that, I don't see a relevance of Karma Yoga. So just these two things, if you have time today or whenever you think it's relevant.
You're very right. The klesha, actually, klesha should be understood as condensation of vrittis. Vritti is a small flutter on the lake of mind. Now, when the same vrittis are coming again and again, they solidify. So the painted vritti, the thickened vritti, which can be clubbed together and given some name, is called klesha. For example, ahankar, small, big, size of the ego may vary, occasion wise it may vary, but overall if we put all these vrittis together, we can classify them. So all vrittis are put together and classified in the form of klesha. So klesha is nothing else but the vrittis. Absolutely right. The kleshas are broader classification to understand our interaction in the world. Now, klesha conceptually should be understood as a reaction to the world. It has nothing to do what is happening in the world. The oceans are rising, the waves are coming, the trees are nodding, the people are talking, gossiping is going on, laughing is going on, TV serial is going on. We have nothing to do with it. How I interact with that is klesha. So klesha is different than kriya. Kriya may happen because of my prarabdha. Somebody may come and slap me. What is it? Prarabdha. All right. Now then what? Then nothing. No problem. No klesha. But because he slapped me, bloody hell, I will take revenge on him. What has happened? Klesha started. So klesha is reaction, not action. Nobody can be free from action, but you can be completely free from reaction. So the working is on klesha. As far as working on klesha is concerned, once you identify this, there is liking, there is disliking, there is me. These are three main things. Either you like a thing, you don't like a thing, or I am there is the third thing. If you are able to work on these three, then it will be easier for you. And working on these three is karma yoga. When you work on kleshas, it is karma yoga. Suppose you are a person who have already attained vairagya. You have nothing to do with the world. You have even controlled your mind. Where is the karma yoga left? Now you will go into dhyana yoga because karmas are no more left. Now what is left is the sanskar or the impression of karmas deeply embedded that I have to remove. For that I will do samadhi, sadhana, not the karma yoga. Karma yoga is the frontal piece. At the front, you deal with the karma. But if you have dealt with the karma, the drawing hall is complete, you go to the bedroom. That is sadhana, that is dhanam. So in the world, when you are there, like the way we are, whatever Gandhiji did, whatever Lokmanya Tilak did, whatever Netaji Subhash Chandra did, that was all karma yoga, because they were dealing in the active world. While dealing in the active world, they inculcated a response pattern rather than a reaction pattern to the things happening around, thereby subduing sukha, subduing dukkha. That is why when Bapu was given a huge gift of jewelry when he left South Africa, and when even Kasturba also felt little greedy, saying that, I've got 4 children, I can use it in marriage, and it is anyway given by collecting the gift by the people. Bapu immediately gave it back to those people, saying that you use it by starting an organization. So what does that mean? Even if Sukham comes, it's not mine. Even when Dukkham can somebody slap Bapu, he said, okay, fine, no problem. So this is the way to develop, and this is Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga prepares you when you are in karma. But after you have done that, then Karma Yoga alone is not enough. For the deeper impressions, you have to go for Jnana Yoga through Dhyanam, Upasana. So first karma is for Chitta Shuddhi. When you say Chitta Shuddhi itself means making the kleshas little down and smaller in size. After they are made smaller, you can loosen them through Kriya Yoga. That means intense practice of, again, same these 3. That is why I was asked a question that why Yama Niyama is coming there, and again Tapas and Ishwara is coming here, because this one is on a concentrated form for the Madhyama Adhikari. Once that is done, then you go to the final stage called Samadhi. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Sanjay ji. I have a small doubt. When you are saying this action, desire, thought, this is, we have to go through these 3 stages every day, every time. Now, desire, yes, to me, I can say I have control, thought process, oh, no, it's not, still not, but action, you cannot avoid. Now, if that is the case, if you can, what is the option then available? Now you are mentioning about the action is not important, reaction is more important, So
No.
in that case, whatever.
Yeah, there is some confusion. I did not say that. See, what I'm saying is reaction and response is your from your side to what is happening or what is about to happen or what has happened. Action you have to do. I'll give you an example. You are walking. Are you not doing any action? You're doing an action. Nobody stops you from doing action. But while walking, can you not kick a person which is walking besides you? Now what happened? That is also an action, but that you are not doing. So I am talking about untoward action is to be avoided. Essential action is part of karma. We will have to do it. You want to eat food. Will you not do the action? You will do that. But while eating the food, can you put your hand into somebody else's plate and eat? That is also an action. You cannot or you should not. So when I say action is to be controlled, or there is a sanyatandrata required there also, the control is required. Sanyatata there is to ensure that the action does not result in klesha. Why you want to use your hand to slap somebody? Because you are angry with him. That means you have fallen prey to the klesha and then you are acting. But as a duty-bound action when you are doing, then you should do is kartavya purna karma is a must. But when there is no kartavyam, for example, sitting here, you are trying to do some backbiting. It is not your kartavyam. By vacha, what you are doing is a karma which is not required. So untoward, unwanted action, untoward, unwanted speech, untoward, unwanted thought, that is what I was focusing at. As far as your klesha part is concerned, in spite of your control on your action, thought, and desire, it may happen that you will suffer because of your past deeds. That is where your response comes, not reaction. For example, I am not killing anybody, I am not slapping anybody, I am not thinking ill of anybody, I am not thinking of Ferrari, I am not even thinking of my past insults. I'm just quiet, I'm sitting quietly. And yet somebody came and teased me. Why did he tease you? Because of past karma. How will you react now? Even to that tease. Jo toko kata bove, tu bove fool. If somebody picks you with a thorn, you give the flower. Kate ko kata mil, kate fool ko fool mile, kate ko trisul. If you give flower, you will get flower from the God. If you give the thorn prick, you will get a trishul from Shankara. The meaning of this particular saying is that what is your job entails you to do. Are you not going to your office and signing so many papers? You are signing, but you are not doing anything wrong there. So the signing doesn't create any karma. You are doing karma actually, but it doesn't create any phalam. Why? You don't have any desire. You are signing it because it's your work. You are drinking water. Is it creating any phalam? No. You were thirsty, you drank water, you had no desire. If you say that I should always be having a lot of water in my home, desire. But drinking water, eating food, going to the job, being in the role of husband, father, these are duty-bound roles. Those are karmas that we do. Our main focus is on, while performing karma, is it out of klesha? Output, if it is klesha is coming, that means I am creating new karmas. Why then I am doing current karma? Current karma is my past. While current karma is operating, the kleshas that are originating, these kleshas are the origin of my new karmajanya samskara. So that is why focus should not be on karma, focus should be on the klesha. Focus should not be on what is happening, focus should be on what I am responding. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Dr. Sir.
Hari Om.
You mentioned that to burn the bijas, only samadhi is the way. But is there any way that can be done with like chanting Lord's name? I'm just giving one reference in like Rama Raksha, where it is saying like Bharjanam Bhav Bijanam Tarjanam Sukhasamdam Arjanam Yandutanam Rama Rameti Karjanam.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Nama is the way. Nama, when it is repeated in the proper manner, when the japa or ajapa japa reaches its culmination, the nami, the nama dharaka, he reaches a stage which is asampradnyat samadhi. In Yoga Shastra, it is defined in a proper structured form, so we call it asampradnyat or dharma megha samadhi. But where does the nama dharaka reach? He reaches the same state. Tukaram Maharaj, by just saying Vithala, 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 he reached the same stage where the yogi reaches. See, the destination is same. In Yoga Shastra, there is a structured layout of how you reach there, while in case of a Bhakti Shastra says that I don't understand any technicality. All I understand is I want to do something so repeatedly with the complete bhava for the God that I will become God. The whole process is same. Suppose tomorrow somebody becomes an engineer without going to engineering college, and he understands. There are so many people, you know, they're called as Mukadam or somebody. They know how to put the plaster and how to put the slab in the building. They don't go to the school, but they do the job. How do they do the job? Because by experience they did it. And what about the other person? Oh, he properly learned the engineering and then he put the slab. Both are ultimately putting the slab in the building. One by experience, the one who is doing with the experience, he has to do a lot of trial and error. He has to become an assistant to somebody. That is his way of going. While the one engineering, he will go first study the fundamentals of physics, etc. Then he will do the same thing. Destination is same. The Karma Yogi, the Bhakti Shastra, Bhakti Yoga, the Jnana Yogi, and the Raja Yogi, all of them reach to the same destination. Procedurally, same thing is happening, to some with knowing, to some without knowing. You will not find one word in Tukarama's Gatha about Yoga Shastra, but there are some experiences he has written. If we start reading them, it clearly depicts that he was a Raja Yogi. Now, did he do the Raja Yoga? Through Bhakti Yoga, he reached the Raja Yoga, because these different streams, they meet at one point and then they flow in one singular stream. So a Raja Yogi becomes a Jnana Yogi, a Jnana Yogi becomes, the only thing is a Karma Yogi, after doing karma, ultimately becomes eligible for Dhyanam and Upasana and becomes Jnana Yogi. So that is why Karma Jnana Samuchaya is not there, Krama Samuchaya is there. So Karma Yoga is for Chitta Shuddhi. After everybody does Chitta Shuddhi, by taking Nama, you do Chitta Shuddhi. By Karma, Chitta Shuddhi. By all this Yama Niyama, Chitta Shuddhi. After everybody does Chitta Shuddhi, then for Upasana, everybody comes on the same platform. The differences in different yogas are at the Chitta Shuddhi level only. After Chitta Shuddhi happens, then the roads start coming together, they merge. And at the Samadhi level, the road is only one. Whether you come from a station called Bhakti Yoga or a station called Karma Yoga or a Raja Yoga, you will be reaching through the same ultimate road. Hari Om.
Sanjay ji, just a follow-up question on this. So Gyan Yoga is not leading to Chit Shuddhi, right? So the three yogas are a means for Chit Shuddhi, but Gyan Yoga, to really appreciate, you should have Chit Shuddhi done.
The Jnana Yoga begins after the Chitta Shuddhi. That is why we have the third Adhyaya, Jnana Karma Sannyas. If you see the title of the Adhyaya, Jnana Karma Sannyas, a Jnana Yogi is already completed Chitta Shuddhi, so he is in the field of the Dhyanam, the Upasana and the higher levels. Again, we are talking of Uttama Adhikari. So Chitta Shuddhi, if it is yet to be done, then it has to be done. But those who have completed Chitta Shuddhi and born, suppose last birth, I have done Chitta Shuddhi. Now how I will be born? I will be born in a place conducive for Upasana. So I will directly start concentrating. Swami Vivekananda started meditation at the age of 6. Because he said, in the childhood only I used to get Gurudeva. Gurudeva's meditation started when he was a child. That too just because they were forcefully putting him into the Dev room, Devalaya, where there was a small worship place. He used to just close his eyes and imagine that he is, concentrating on Shiva's Murti. But where from that came for such a small boy? Because it was completed earlier. So when we say Jnana Yoga, when we say Raja Yoga, Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, all of them in the beginning, every individual starts with Chitta Shuddhi first. After Chitta Shuddhi, automatically Upasana starts. For example, tomorrow if you start to sit for meditation, nothing will happen. At least for me, I can say, if I sit for meditation, I will not meditate. Why? My Chitta Shuddhi is still not complete. It is a precondition. How can you enter secondary school unless you have completed primary school? So Chitta Shuddhi is the first stage. And then who will teach me Upasana? The arrangement in God's world is, moment your Chitta Shuddhi becomes better, you will automatically, your mind starts going towards Upasana. Because the mind is now perfectly under control to be at one place. When you do your Chitta Shuddhi and Upasana, when Upasana is complete, automatically the mind will go towards Samadhi practice. That is why many of Ramakrishna's disciples, they were born, and they were born, and all the young disciples in 1886 after Ramakrishna's death directly started doing Dhyanam, Dhyana Dharana, because they were Uttamadhikari by past birth. Gurudeva was a Uttamadhikari by past birth. That is why we have to say where we are. I may not be Uttamadhikari, I may be an Adhamadhikari, but all I want to know is, am I admitted to the school? Am I passing the standards? How many births? I don't know. Should not even bother about it. My progress is there, that is more important, because nobody knows the progress, because you don't know your past. You don't know how much prarabdha is left. You don't know how much karma you are yet supposed to do. And most important thing, even in the chart that we saw, in the stages that we saw, there is one thing we have to remember. If God decides you to hasten up, if avatar like Ramakrishna comes, then he can put you through all the rigmarole of multiple births. Within no time, he can take you to the top. That is called Kartum, Akartum, Anyatha Kartum Shakti. They can do anything. And that miraculous doing and lifting you from a very low level directly to the higher level as an exception can happen. That is called Krupa or blessing. Hari Om.
Sanjay ji, Hariom,
Ji.
just one question. This avidya, kama, karma, we say avidya is the root cause of all these issues. And here now we are talking about the reaction as avidya.
Yeah. No.
One of the reactions.
There is again slight confusion. Avidya is the basis of all kleshas. So when you react, the origin, the main, it is like saying this, the branch is very faulty. Now suppose the fruits are not coming to a tree. Whom will you blame? That particular tree is not having fruit. The blame goes to the seed, because the seed has some, is why the tree is not having the proper fruits. So all the kleshas, the reactions that we are talking, ultimately are emanating from where? From avidya. And what is avidya? Because we are calling everything anitya as nitya, ashuchi as shuchi, anatma as atma, that is the reason why this is happening. So somebody may say that, okay, from tomorrow onwards, I will call anatma as anatma only. But by calling it doesn't happen. Even if you say tomorrow that, oh, one day the sun is going to vanish, it is impermanent, still it will be only at intellectual level. Why? Because avidya is deep rooted. That's why it is karana sharira of ours. So that is why instead of cutting the seed, it is so difficult. You first cut the branches, then cut the tree becomes loose. So cutting the branches is precisely what we are working on the kleshas. Then you do the tanutva, loosening. So you shake the tree so that the roots become loose. This shaking is called kriya yoga. And after this, you uproot the tree. That is called samadhi. Hari Om.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om. It is better we get more and more questions, because we must be very clear about what is avidya, what is karma, what is karma jana samskara, what is karma ashaya, what is punya, what is papa, because this is all relevant to us. Let us take my example. I am at a very low level. So for a low level, I need to understand the basics of my own behavior in this world. So I must know clearly what I should be doing. So now, so far what we have read, we came to know clearly that, look, first of all my reactions to my surroundings have to change. My first sadhana will be this. And how will I do that? Maybe deliberately. I know the anger will not go immediately away, but at least my words will not hurt the people. By shariram, we are not going to really get, because we are now gentlemanly people. We are not going to go somebody and have a free fight and give some blows to somebody. That we are not doing. Fine. So sharirika, no problem. Kaik, that's not a problem. Vachik is the main problem. So first, let us control the vacha. How do we control the vacha? Immediately we start detesting, hating, anger, at least that much. And then observe yourself when you're sitting at one place. What are you thinking? Oh, I'm thinking about how that fellow yesterday. That means what is happening? You're going back into your past smriti to just arouse your anger or arouse your sukham or whatever. That is not correct. Start again, stopping it at that moment. In other words, through this, you are trying to control your vrittis. It is the same thing what we have seen under vrittis that we are seeing under kleshas. Klesha is a consolidated name of the vrittis. Either way, the exercise is same. But this is very, 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 very practical. And this is sadhana. Anybody who does this, he is already doing tapas or sadhana. Hari.